Today we are going to start from verse number 34. So now till now what we have been doing, we've been talking about is transcendental knowledge. The name of the chapter is transcendental knowledge. And so initially we started with the fact that, okay, this knowledge um, is been around forever. Krishna gives Arjuna more gives tells him that, okay, this has been around forever. I've talked to sun god. And Arjun doubts that, but you are the same age as me. And then Krishna explains, and then he starts giving the transcendental knowledge. And then he talks about sacrifices as a process. And then the question comes, okay, yes, transcendental knowledge, but how do we achieve that transcendental knowledge? That's the question that comes in, right? So so with that thought, Krishna will now start telling us that how how to prepare one's heart for for Guru to sow the seeds of transcendental knowledge and fructify that knowledge. So Krishna is telling us now that yes, transcendental knowledge will come through a Guru to us. It's not going to come by ourselves to us. So for that, you need to have four qualities as a student. Was this? Yeah. Oh, I'm not sharing that. Right. So this section is glorifying the transcendental knowledge. So 34th verse is preparing our heart. And then 35 to 38 are the rewards of getting the transcendental knowledge. 39, 40, the eligibility. And then the last two verses are a call of action, where Krishna will tell Arjun, get up and fight Arjun. Okay. So this is a very famous verse of Bhagavad Gita. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Right? So there are four things that we are being told. Right? Pranipatena, that's humility, humbleness. Pariprashnena, inquire properly. Sevaya, service with the proper attitude. And how all these three things have to be done? Tadvidhi. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. That's the way it is. So, and tadvidhi means in the proper way, in a very truthful way, in a very clean-hearted way. We don't have to be perfect to approach a guru. We just have to be sincere to approach a guru. That I know there are problems with me, but I want to know the truth. That's what tadvidhi means, right? So, sorry. Going back to the Bhagavad Gita. Yes, so tadvidhi. So those are the three important things that we are being told here. So let's just dig deep in there. What is the meaning of these four things, right? And Arjun has already done this. Can somebody tell me in which verse did Arjun do these three things? Well, you all should know that verse. In which verse did Arjun surrender to Krishna?
Abhīṣṭa-dohaṁ shādimam tvam
2:7.
prapannam. That one, Prabhuji?
Yeah, but we should know 2:7. We should know the full verse. There are some verses in Bhagavad Gita which you all should have memorized.
Yes, Karpanya doshapata swabhava pritchami tvam dharma samudacheta yachyasyanishitam bruhitan me shishyasya aham shadimam tvam prapanna.
Yes, thank you. Yes, some verses have to be memorized. See, when we memorize verses, it's not to show off to others, first thing. However, I can tell you from my personal experience, when my mind sometimes just keeps popping up these verses, from anywhere, oh, this verse. And I don't know why, but it's a very good way of keeping in touch with Krishna. The verses keep just popping up in your mind. You have memorized verses. You don't have to show to anybody, but what you're doing is you are creating a space in your mind for these verses. So if you don't occupy the mind, something nonsense will occupy it. So you occupy it with something positive. So when these verses are going to be in your mind, they will keep popping up. You might be just sitting and driving home, and suddenly this verse will pop up. Oh yeah, then you will think, oh yeah, what was Krishna saying? What was Arjun saying there? So it's a very good way of connecting. And then Sanskrit by itself has a very, very powerful effect on our brain waves. It's scientifically proven, so I don't have to give you proof of it. It's scientifically proven that what Sanskrit can do to our mind. Okay, so yes, so that's the verse. Arjun has already surrendered to Krishna. Right? So this is something similar. Right? For example, pranipate, right? So pranipatena means humbleness, humility, surrender. Not blind surrender. It has to be a proper, as you know, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says, he said, you don't surrender your intelligence, you surrender with intelligence. So use your intelligence. You don't have to give up your intelligence once you have surrendered to a guru or to surrender to a guru. So use your intelligence. So pranipatena. So no, not a blind submission. It's an indication that you are willing to be guided by someone. The desire for truth becomes more important than your ego. And that opens our heart. Then only the knowledge can enter in there, right? So the word pranipatena, so that's what it means. So basically pranipat, if you look at the literal meaning, pranipat means fall flat in front of a guru, right? Pranipat. But then in a mindset, what kind of a mindset it is? It's like being submissive, being willing to be guided. Okay, so that's pranipatena. So then next is pariprashnena. Reverse that. So pariprashnena. We talked about it. Pariprashnena means by submissive inquiries. So pariprashnena means submissive inquiry, right? So pariprashnena means paripurna prashna. Right? So proper inquiries from the guru. And then Prabhupada points out something very interesting in here. I'll bring you that. Both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. So pariprashnena means pranipatena means no blind following. Pariprashnena means no absurd inquiries.
कह के चाट दो चा पीऊ के देते ऐसे
Pariprashnena means no no absurd inquiries, right? Absurd inquiries, somebody asked Prabhupada once, have you seen Indra? Have you met Indra? Prabhupada said, how does it matter to you if I have met him or not? And Brahmanand Prabhu, Prabhupada's disciple, was standing behind Prabhupada, and he said, Indra would be very lucky to meet Prabhupada. So, but yeah, that was a very absurd question. And somebody asked Prabhupada once, are there any mosquitoes in the spiritual world? Well, how does it matter to you if there are mosquitoes? Even if they're chanting Hare Krishna there. So no absurd questions to your spiritual master. Right? So that's what pariprashnena means. It should be an honest, sincere inquiry. No challenging, not debating. It shouldn't be passive. Right? It means asking questions to understand how to apply the teachings in life. So a real disciple would ask, for example, how do I change? What is the next step for me? Right? So that's what is pariprashnena. Right? And Prabhupada is also talking about blind following. So blind following, like somebody told me this story once about how there was a servant and a teacher. They were going on a horse, right? So something fell off the horse, and the disciple didn't pick it up. And Guru said, "Oh, why? When did that thing fall?" And disciple said, "Oh, it fell off a couple of hours ago." And then the Guru asked, "Why did you pick it up?" He said, "But you didn't say so, Guru." And then his Guru said, "Okay, anything that falls off the horse, you should pick it up." So later the horse pooped, and the disciple picked up the poop. And Guru said, "Why did you pick that up?" He said, "You told me to pick up anything that falls off the horse." Then Guru gives him a list of the things that disciple should pick up. And then once the Guru falls down, and the disciple doesn't pick him up, and he kept going. Why? And the Guru asked, "Why didn't you pick me up?" "Oh, you were not in the list." So that's kind of a blind following example. So yeah, so we don't blindly follow also. Okay, so that's pranipatena, pariprashnena. Tadvidhi, as we said, tadvidhi means it has to be dedicated to absolute truth. Proper. It should be not like have ulterior goals of achieving something wrong, something else. It should be seeking truth. To be honest clear with your motives. That's what it is. Right? That's called truthfulness. Being honest with one's motive, one's action also. Okay. So there's a story, if you've heard that. There was this person. He was a son of a, but he wanted to study. So he went in search for a guru, and he went to the sage Gautam, and he requested him to make him his disciple. And sage Gautam asked him that, okay, before I make anybody my disciple, I need to know about your family. And then the kid went back and said, he had no idea about his family other than his own mother. So he went back to his mother, and he asked his mother, oh, who's my family? Where's my father, my grandfather? And so the mother said, you just go to the stage and tell him, I am the son of my mother, and this is my name. I don't know my father's name. So the boy went and told this to the guru, and the guru was very happy with that. He said, okay, I love you for your truth and for your honesty, and I have accepted you as my disciple, because he was truthful. Right? So that's what tadvidhi, having that truthfulness. Okay. Then we did tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena. Seva, right? Seva, we all know, service, right? This is, so when we serve, as our heart softens and our receptivity increases. Like it becomes more receptive to knowledge. And then the guru naturally reveals deeper meaning because we are serving the guru. Right? And serving, we have talked about it. It could be Vapu Seva or Vani Seva. Vapu Seva means seva of the body of your guru. You can cook for your guru, you can wash his clothes or wash his dishes, or Prabhupada like to have a massage. And that's Vapu. Vani Seva means what your guru is saying, speech. What is he asking you to do? So you can do that and also serve him. And Vani Seva is important, more important. That's what we read in the Nectar of Instruction. Right? Prabhupada's life is a living example of service. Prabhupada in 1922 got the order to spread this knowledge in the English-speaking world. 1965, he came to America. That's 43 years of dedication to execute his guru's order. Even though he had so many failures. Actually, 44 years of failure, no success. Right? And then next 12 years, Krishna made him a success. Okay, so that's seva. Okay, and there is one more verse I wanted to got here. Inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from learned spiritual master will not be effective. Okay, so submission and service both are needed for the message of your spiritual master to be effective. If we just keep filling our mind with knowledge, but that knowledge does not filter down to our heart, it's of no use. It will just be boosting our ego. It's an ego massage. Service makes our heart soft and opens it up for that knowledge to come in. So yeah, so that's something to keep in mind. Prabhupada is highlighting that. Yeah, so link not just of head, but the heart also has to link in. And then somebody can ask, okay, why go to a guru, right? So that's what Krishna then later on answers in this verse. He says, the self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Not that they have memorized philosophy, collected verses, studied academically. No, all that is not important. right? So somebody who has realized the knowledge, their life is a proof that they have realized this knowledge. And when we associate, when we go to a guru, it removes our confusion, protects us from stupid mistakes that we make on the path, and also accelerate us on this path. It's a very important verse. Again, please all, you should memorize this verse. In Bhagavad Gita, I think I've given you all that list of verses to memorize. So because when the exams happen, those verses, I'll ask you to recite those verses, obviously without seeing them. Or at least write them down, not recite, but.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, where have you given that list? Did I miss it?
I will send it again for you. I think I might have given it before I added you to them.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so let's move on to the next verse. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. All right. So we talked about it, right? So 34 is preparing our heart. 35 to 38 are the rewards of getting this knowledge. Now, what do you get when you get this knowledge? So this is the first verse of that. One thing is you will never fall back into illusion. That's an important thing because we keep falling, right? Just like a child, he learns to walk. Initially, he'll stand up for a minute and then again he'll fall down, stand up and fall down. But then the mother comes and holds the child's hand, then the child is able to walk. So we will not fall down once we hold the hands of a guru, right? That's one important thing that happens, right? So yeah, okay. So you will. So one thing is, what was that? Yeah. So you'll never fall again. Yes. So you will na punar moham. That's the verse that Krishna is using. Na punar moham. You'll never fall back into illusion. You'll never be again confused. What confusions do we have? I'm this body. I'm the doer. I deserve something, right? So all that. Real knowledge will stabilize the heart permanently. And what removes the illusion? It's not that information, it's not the philosophy, but what removes the illusion is realized knowledge received from a genuine guru. So once that spiritual truth, once you experience that, the illusions will be gone. Right? So actual realization is irreversible. Once you get it, you'll never go back again. Right? And then Krishna is saying that also you will see all beings in me. Right? So that's the second part of Krishna's promise. A person who understands the truth sees all beings are spiritual beings, different bodies, different behaviors, but the same spiritual essence. When you see that, this vision will remove hatred, envy, superiority, fear, and all these things that have been just crowding up your heart. Because now you see everybody as Krishnas. So why would I be envious of them? Right? And then Krishna, and you see that they are all Krishnas. Everyone is part of Krishna's energy. Krishna is in everyone's heart. Right? So this will create compassion in your heart. Instead of judging others, you'll be compassionate towards them. Instead of being irritated of them, you'll start respecting them. Right? So 34 said, approach a guru. 35 is telling us what happens as a result. Together, these verses, both of them show us that the guru gives knowledge of reality. This knowledge destroys illusion. When illusion is gone, divine vision wakes up. And then that leads you to a Krishna conscious living. Yes, Bini.
So in this verse, if we can elaborate on the last sentence of the first paragraph.
Last sentence of the first paragraph. This one, you mean?
Yeah, but the Mayavadi philosophers fail to understand that the absolute means that 1 + 1 equal to 1 and that 1 - 1 also equal to 1. This is the case in the absolute world. I am having a hard time
Okay.
comprehending this.
So what Prabhupada is saying here, so he's talking about Mayavadi philosophers who say that when we leave this world, we go and merge with Krishna. So what they say is the one living entity and one Krishna, right? So when they are saying that you completely merge in him, right? So your entity is completely lost. Okay. And then if you remove something from Krishna, still Krishna remains. So what Prabhupada is saying, they don't understand that, right? That whether you are merging in Krishna, that we all are part and parcels of Krishna, one thing. When we left Krishna, or whenever you can say, I don't know, there's no time stamp to it, we have eternally been a part of Krishna and also separate from Krishna at the same time. But Mayavadis don't understand that. They think that at one point we were a part of Krishna, out of illusion we are separated, and again we will be a part of Krishna. So for them, when Krishna and the living entity who are separate beings, right? They feel that I lose my identity. That's what Prabhupada is trying to explain to us, that we don't lose our identity. They fail to understand that absolute means 1 plus 1 is also equal to 1, and 1 minus 1 is also equal. That the Supreme Personality always remains, even if you remove something from it or even if you add something into it. It's not like Krishna gets divided into parts when he creates living entities. That's what Prabhupada is highlighting here.
Thank you.
Does that make sense? I don't know. I might have been a bit confusing, but that was clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
The identity of Krishna remains the same, it unchanged.
Yes, and Prabhupada before that, he's saying that the Mayavadi philosophers wrongly think that Krishna loses his own separate existence in his many expansions. So what he is saying is, Mayavadi think that when Krishna came as Narsingadev, then Krishna was like something like partially somewhere. He was not complete, right? So that's what is the part of the first one. That he's not. Even if something is removed from him, he's still complete, right? So that concept is very, I think, confusing and also incomplete for them. That's why Mayavadi philosophers, they're called Mayavadi. They're in Maya. That's why they are falsely interpreting what Krishna is and how he comes as an incarnation or he creates living entities out of him.
Yes. What I was having a hard time understanding was that since Krishna is he's always complete. There isn't like you're removing, or there isn't ever that he is removing or he's adding something. Like how we even say that he is non-different from his name. So he's complete, he's whole all the time. So there is no question of adding or removing.
Yes, there is no question. But the way Mayavadi philosophers think that, they think that if an incarnation has come, then that Krishna is divided now. He's not complete wherever he is in Golok, Vrindavan. And similarly, so that's the 1 minus 1 part. And then so that's the misconception they have, that Krishna either gets divided when he creates living entities, or so that confusion is there in their mind, or when an incarnation comes, that Krishna gets divided into parts, something of that. That's what he is confused about.
Yeah. And then when people merge into him, he's more.
Yes. When some people, it's Mayavadis think that you go and merge in Krishna, that's what they say. Well, they don't say Krishna. They think that when Krishna came to this planet, he was also under the influence of Maya, right? That's why they're called Mayavadi. So whoever the supreme God is, and they think that when we die, we go and merge with him, right? So that's a misconception they have. I saw another hand was raised. Yes.
Are like Mayavadi same as impersonalists, or they are different?
So there are two things. One is, I'm not sure if I've mentioned this. There are Mayavadis and there are Brahmavadis. Brahmavadis are impersonalists, but they're innocent in the sense that they don't know about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those are Brahmavadis, means they're innocent. They are not, their heart is not crooked. They're not like, oh, they want to twist something and understand it differently. No, they just don't know about it. Mayavadis are those who actually know the truth, but they still don't accept it. Like when they, as I was just saying, they think that Krishna, when he came to the planet Earth, he got under the influence of Maya. But we are seeing in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is repeatedly saying, Aham sarvasya prabhavo, I am the supreme, there's nothing beyond me, and so forth. So despite seeing that, if they are not accepting it, they are called Mayavadi. They are really trying to construe a meaning out of, different meaning out of it for their own gratification or philosophical, intellectual pursuits, whatever it is. So there are two kinds of people that you have to keep in mind. They both are under the umbrella of impersonalism. However, one is accepted by Krishna, the other one is not accepted by Krishna. In the 12th chapter, we will see Krishna will talk about impersonalists, and he accepts them. He says they will come to me, but he's talking about Brahmavadis, not Mayavadis. And at
But
many
their
other,
des-
sorry, go ahead.
but their destination is the same, right? That's what they believe in, correct? Because even like impersonalists, right? Okay, they are not crooked, but they think that okay, this their ultimate reality, right? To merge in the supreme, be one with supreme, and
Mhm.
Mayavadis think the same way, right? So
Yeah, but the difference, as I said, one is innocent in not knowing it. One, like for example, if you know the law and you still do it, that's a bigger mistake than when you don't know the law and then you make a mistake, right? That's why CEOs of companies are punished because they are expected to know everything. But let's say a director or a associate director, somebody like that, he might not know everything. So he's not that much of a person to be blamed in comparison to the CEO who's expected to know everything. So similarly, Mayavadis, they know everything, still they don't understand Krishna as supreme. So that's a much bigger a crime versus Brahmavadis who just don't know that there is a Bhagwan, that there has a form. And then when they see that form, they accept it. We have examples of them across Bhagavatam. Sukadev Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, he was an impersonalist. But when the moment he was born, he ran to the forest. He said, nothing doing with this world. I'll go and meditate in the forest. But when he went there, Vyasadeva sent his disciples there, and they were chanting Krishna's glories. One of the verses they were singing was Aho Bakhyam Stanakalukutam Jigham Sayap Avyayam Apyasabhi Lebhe Gatim Dhatri Uchitam Tatovyam Kamva Dayalu Sharanam Vrajema. That who is more merciful than that person who gave Putana, who was a witch who had come to kill him, the position of a mother, a dhatri, a nurse in the spiritual world. And that just made Sukadev Goswami so, impressed by that he wanted to know who this person is. He came to his father told him the whole Bhagavata, and he accepted Krishna as Bhagavan. So he became from a Brahmavadi to a personalist. Was that clear?
So the distinction is that whoever is knowingly who knows about Krishna but still believes in impersonalism, he is like a Mayavadi. But who is like a ignorant, right? He is not.
Yeah.
But Prabhuji, so that's a good explanation. But there are people like maybe not part of Hinduism who don't know about Krishna, but they are impersonalists, right? So are they like Mayavadis? Because right, are they like Mayavadis, or they
They
are?
do. So once again, I think we had this discussion earlier. When we talk of somebody willfully, consciously trying to, ignore Bhagavan or the thought, the concept of Bhagavan, or it's not just about Hindus or Krishna. We talked about this concept, right? If you remember, if the most important thing is to develop that love of Godhead, and if a Muslim is doing it, fine, yeah, he might not be fully cognizant with that God has a form. Right? He just doesn't know it, but his heart is clean. He's not trying to construe a meaning out of it. For example, when I was distributing book many years ago, and there was this Muslim lady that just passed by us, and she said, "Oh, these guys are the doll worshippers." Now she had a hatred in her heart, an envy in her heart. With that envy in her heart, if she's going to pray to Allah, whatever she's praying to Allah, that is called Mayavad. But if there is, I have met genuine Muslims who just want to understand what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, and they get impressed. They take the Bhagavad Gita with them, and they even say they read it. I have met so many Muslims who are vegetarians because they understand that there is a living entity in all of them. So that thought process is genuinely interested in understanding Bhagavan.
Got
Yeah,
it.
might not be that they fully understand Krishna, but then they don't have any crookedness in their heart. They have a clean heart. So they are on their own journey towards Krishna. But I wouldn't consider them as Mayavadis. I would give, obviously, it's a much broader distinction, but I would give them into those innocently unknowing people, not crookedly knowing people. I would not put them in that other bucket.
Right, Prabhu. So basically, the only difference is like both are impersonalist, but Mayavadi is the one who actually who have all the knowledge, but still deny the existence of
Yes.
non-impersonalism, right? Something like that.
Yes, yeah, that's the
Okay.
good way of putting it.
Okay.
And Krishna will talk about this extensively. I'll highlight you those verses where Krishna is talking about Brahmavadis and where he's talking about Mayavadis. For example, in the 9th chapter, I think it's the 10th, no, not the 10th, it will be the 11th verse. Avajananti ma mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhava majananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Right? When Krishna is saying that when I descend in my personal form, they think that I have become a human being. They are deluded. Krishna calls them mudha. Avajananti mam mudha. They call dim-witted. They're dumb. So that point, Krishna is talking about impersonalists of Mayavadis. Right? But then in the 12th chapter, I told you about, there is a verse in 4th, I think it's 3rd, 4th, and 5th verse, where Krishna talks about Brahmavadis. He says that, they come to me eventually. Their path might be longer, but they will come to me eventually because their heart is not at the wrong place. That's the distinction.
Yeah, Prabhu. Basically, anybody who's denying any permutation and combination of a Bhagwan is kind of a Mayavadi, right? Because Bhagwan can be anything, right?
Yeah. So like even with Muslims, right? We're talking about like there are Christians, Prabhupada disciples, there are so many of them were Christians. Because when they heard what Prabhupada was telling them, they didn't see it any different from what they had read in the Bible. Because their heart was in the right place. They might have been, it's like, they were sattvic, but they had their face turned away from Krishna, one says. But moment Prabhupada told them, they immediately turned their face towards Krishna and they become divine, they were self-realized souls. So yeah, they were not like, they didn't have crookedness in their hearts. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Was there any other hand up? I don't know. I can't see which hands were up. Let me see. Okay, no more hands up. No more hands up. Okay, so this was the result of getting a guru, right? So 434, approach a guru. 435, what happens as a result? Right? So now it comes to 436. Okay, where's that? Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. Am I clear? Am I audible to everyone? My laptop just showed me a message.
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhu, we hear you.
Thank you. Yeah, it just a message popped up that my internet connection is stable. Okay, yes. Now this has a couple of things that we should look at. The word is sarvebhya papakritamaha. That most sinful of all sinners. Now that's a very strong statement, right? So in simple words, what Krishna is telling us, no matter how fallen, weak, okay, I'm still here. Looks like I'm here. Okay. Yes. So fallen, weak, or imperfect we may feel, spiritual knowledge can carry us across all suffering. That's what Krishna is telling. In a summary, what I'm saying is, right? In a summary, that's what Krishna is telling us. So there's an analogy that Krishna is hinting upon. There's an ocean of miseries, and there is a boat, right? What is the ocean of miseries? Is this material life? We have anxiety, we have guilt, we have habits that we regret, but we still cannot control. We repeatedly make mistakes. And then obviously the four problems, birth, death, old age, disease are there. That's an ocean of miseries. The boat that Krishna is talking about is transcendental knowledge. Knowledge, now what is transcendental knowledge? I gave you this distinction a few classes ago. Knowing Krishna versus knowing about Krishna. Right? Let's keep that in mind. So who Krishna is, knowledge of who we are or we are not in one sense, and knowledge of how to connect with Krishna through bhakti. If you are in an ocean, swimming hard doesn't save you. Such a vast ocean. How long are you going to swim? It's just you'll eventually just give up. But if somebody comes with a boat, you're saved. So that's something to keep as the analogies there. And Prabhupada is talking about that analogy which I just talked here. Yes, Bino.
Prabhuji, how can you be a sinner and be situated in a boat of transcendental knowledge?
Okay, let me open up this question to all of you. Let's see what thoughts you have. How can that happen? Can anybody share some thoughts? Why do you think, when Krishna says that even if you're considered to be most sinful of sinners, what does that mean? What does Krishna mean by that?
So there's even the sinners have goodness in their heart, right? Which would it just takes I guess just a light to help them pass through, or I guess go over the ocean, right? So all of us are sinners in some way, right? We're not perfect. That's why we're still here and not with Krishna.
Okay, that's a good answer. Anybody else has any thoughts?
Prabhuji, sinners means before they take up the Krishna consciousness, they may be sinners. Once they take up the Krishna consciousness, they will not be considered as sinners anymore. That's what in the 9th chapter, the few last verses, it was explained.
Okay, yes, you're referring to that apichet sudaracharo,
Yeah,
bhajante mam
Abhīṣṭa-dohaṁ.
ananyabhak,
Yeah.
sadhureva samantabhya samavivasito isa. Okay, that's a good answer. Anybody else or any thoughts?
Yes, Prabhuji, one more through example we can understand is Sage Valmiki before self-realizing his position. So he was a sinner, but since he accepted the Guru Narad Muni and gone through the process, he purified himself and realized his relation with the Bhagwan.
Okay, that's a good example. Now, so tell me, if somebody can tell me from these three statements that I've got here, they all are connected and they make sense. What is that person doing that despite being a sinner, he's accepted? What is it, the mindset of that person? I'm trying to come to that
Surrender.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably the
so-
person surrenders to Krishna. He takes his shelter.
Okay,
So
that's
Krishna
very good.
accepts him.
Yes. So
Also, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra gets the sinner out of the zone of what he's doing wrong or what he or she is doing wrong, and basically going towards Krishna consciousness.
yeah, that's very good. So yes, Binu, so in answer to your question, as we all have been talking about, first thing is when they come in connection with this transcendental knowledge, they don't sin anymore. Obviously, that's one thing that was brought out. And whatever they have done in the past, they repent that, and for the future, they very, very sincerely try not to do any more of those sins. However, because our mind is not that strong initially, we might still do some mistakes. We might repeatedly fall trap to our mind. Right? But Krishna does not reject us because he sees that this person is sincere. That's what this statement that if we are considered to be most sinful of all the sinners means, that we sincerely repent our past sins. Whatever is going to happen in the future, I try my best with my capacity and capability to not repeat that. That's what this statement means. That's why even if I'm a sinner, I'll be considered because I'm trying my best not to repeat those mistakes again. Because Krishna knows that I have so many defects in me. My senses are, they are under illusion. They are, I have a cheating propensity and whatnot. So, despite all that, when a devotee tries his or her best not to fall trap to the mind, he's accepted by Krishna, even though he may not be fully perfect on that stage. Did that make sense, Veena?
Yeah, when I read it, if it is in the present tense, so even if you are considered to be the most sinful of sinners, instead of if
Yes.
you were
That's
once
what I'm
a
saying.
sinner.
So even if you are at this moment doing some sins, but you are not doing them consciously, not with a pre-planned mindset, oh yeah, now I'm going to enjoy because I'm all by myself, No, you are doing it because you have not yet fully controlled your mind. So you're still fall trapped to it. But you are very sincerely, dedicatedly serving a guru, following what the guru is telling us, chanting and properly doing everything. So despite doing sins, you're still accepted. That's what it means. That's why it's being talked about in the present sense.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll quickly show you a verse. I have shown this in the past. I'm not sure if I've shown it. Hold on. It comes in the 11th canto. It's 11th canto, 11, 20, chapter 20, verse number 27, 28. One of my favorite verses in Bhagavatam. Where is that? It's a couple of verses, couplets. Okay, let me share my screen and I'll show you. Okay. So this is Krishna speaking to Uddhava. Having awakened faith in the narrations of my glories, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment. That's all of us here. At least, sorry, I cannot say about you. That's about me. I have faith in Krishna. I have faith in what my guru says. I don't want to fall trap to material activities. I know my sense gratification always give me trouble later on, but still I'm not able to give those up. Krishna calls that person my devotee. So I am Krishna's devotee. My devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction. Even though he is sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment, my devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to a miserable result, and he sincerely repents such activities. Did this verse make it clear for you, Binu?
Yes.
Okay. So this is 11th canto, chapter 20, verse number 27, 28, if anybody wants to keep track. Now I'll go back to that verse. Okay, so most sinful of the sinners. Yeah, that's what it means. Okay. So let's just again go back to it. So what this tells us, and there's a very positive silver lining to this statement. Nobody is permanently disqualified from bhakti. Everybody is acceptable, as long as we have that sincere heart. That verse I just showed, sincerity there was a word sincere in there. So it removes fear out of our hearts. It removes hopelessness from our heart that whatever I've done in the past, I might be the worst of the worst. But if today I make a determination that no, Krishna, I want to become your devotee, I will accept a guru and I'll try my best with the best of my heart, with the bottom of my heart, I'll try my best. So then Krishna is accepting us. Nobody is too fallen. No one is beyond mercy. So bhakti is not about self-confidence. Okay, yeah, I'm going to make this happen. Bhakti is about confidence in Krishna. Okay, so transcendental knowledge, we talked about the boat concept, right? Okay.
Prabhuji, what did you say? You said nobody is disqualified, nobody is too fallen. What was the third one?
No one is beyond mercy.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Mercy is for everybody. Okay. I think we covered this verse, right? So yeah, when you look at this analogy, You can probably just question yourself whenever you read this or whenever you see a boat even, just ask this question. Hey, am I trying to swim all by myself through the ocean? Am I proud of my willpower and so and so forth? Or am I getting into that boat daily by chanting, hearing, and associating with devotees? So you can always ask this question whenever you see a boat. The boat should remind you of this analogy. Okay, 2 participants raise their hand. Yes, Bino, is your hand for another question or from the past?
No, Prabhuji, sorry, it was from
Okay. Yes, Sandeep Prabhu, you were saying something?
Prabhuji, it reminds me of a analogy that Prabhupada provided in one of the verses. I think either in this one or some Leelamrita or somewhere, where he says like, Krishna is like sun. So when the sun shines, right? I mean, it's up to you if you want to be sitting in a shade or you want to get out and and be with the sun. So
That's a good analogy.
similarly, probably like Krishna, right? I mean, it's up to us, right? I mean, I can obviously not look towards Krishna and be by himself, or I can actually look up to him and then he can save me.
Yes, that's a very good point. Whether I wanted to look towards Krishna or not, and that's the analogy I was giving. Like, for example, people who are in the mode of goodness, yeah, they're very close to Krishna. They're the topmost mode, but they are still looking away from Krishna, right? So, like, for example, I gave you the example of Prabhupada's disciples, right? Prabhupada just taught them to look towards Krishna, and they immediately got elevated, right? So that's a very good example of how can a sinful person get on the boat of knowledge by intervening mercy of the spiritual master. That's the beauty of the whole process, right? So yeah, his disciples, you just see them. I read the Leelamrita regularly. Actually, I was reading that today also, and I'm just mesmerized by how people who are taking drugs and all sorts of nonsense, within a few days they were ready to serve Prabhupada. The first time Prabhupada went back to India, 67, and in the summer, July 67 is when Prabhupada went back to India first time after coming to US. Imagine July, and he was in North India. He went to Vrindavan. Kirtananda Swami went with him with no idea of what the heat is going to be like in India. And I was reading the Leelamrita. He was wearing a suit, like a black suit, and he was just boiling underneath it. But then he was more inclined to serve Prabhupada rather than worrying about himself. So just imagine what a sudden change in because they were nice, they were clean-hearted, but they didn't know where to look for. And the Prabhupada came and he showed them Krishna. So they all were on the perfection state then. Yeah. Okay, let's move to 37. As a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjun, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. So now here, another analogy is being given. The last analogy was about a boat. Here, the analogy is of a firewood. Now, why does Krishna use this example of a fire? Right? So fire has, if you think, right, fire has a few qualities of its own. Fire, as soon as something touches fire, that thing starts burning immediately. So when we seriously connect with Krishna, purification starts happening naturally, even if we don't fully understand how. Prabhupada's disciples, the moment they came in contact with Prabhupada, they started purifying. The purification process started. Many Prabhupada disciples say they couldn't understand what Prabhupada was saying because he had a very thick Bengali accent. But just by Prabhupada's association, they started getting purified. So fire, it automatically starts burning. It's not going to be discriminative or any way. So similarly, when we connect with the Guru, with a pure devotee, and the Guru sincerely connect with Krishna, purification starts happening naturally. Secondly, as I was earlier mentioning, there is nobody's beyond mercy. Similarly, fire does not negotiate with anybody. Oh, I won't burn this wood is dirty, or this wood is old, or whatever. No, it burns everything. Right? Similarly, bhakti does not discriminate. Big sins, small sins, old habits, recent mistakes, everything is taken care of. So, and then the third most important quality of fire is that when fire burns something, you cannot reconstruct it back again. If fire burns wood and it brings it down to ashes, you cannot take the ash and make a wood out of it again. So Krishna is not just removing punishment, he's not just removing those sins, he's changing the heart so that the tendency to repeat sins gradually disappears. That's what that knowledge does. That's what this transcendental knowledge does. Yes, Satyal, very much.
Also, Prabhu, the fire also provides us light, like, to see out of from darkness, right? So
Yeah.
so
Yes.
even with Krishna consciousness, right, we're coming out of darkness into the light.
Yes, that's a good one. Yes, coming out of darkness to light. So yes, so this is the what is it? The fire that is being referred to here, the fire of knowledge. That's Krishna is saying. That the fire of knowledge is the transcendental knowledge, what we've been talking about. That Krishna is my protector. I belong to him. Serving him is my real happiness, and so forth. So that's the fire of knowledge. So two analogies given by Krishna. Earlier one was a boat and the ocean. The second one is fire. Okay. But sometimes, this is a question that I get sometimes from devotees, and I've heard that many times. That even if, okay, you're saying that Krishna is saying that all reactions to material activities are burnt to ashes, then why do devotees suffer? That's a question that we get quite often. Right? Any thoughts on that? Can anybody share any thoughts on that? If bhakti burns away all my reactions, why do I still face problems? Why am I still suffering? Yes, Atil, really wants.
Yeah, so we still have to, we still get reaction from our karmas, right, from our previous lives. So even, I mean, bhakti takes us towards, the path of Krishna consciousness and towards Krishna, period. But that doesn't mean, we're basically suffering because of our karma.
Okay. Yes,
It's helping. Bhakti is helping us, to not gain any bad karmas anymore, and to erase and delete the old karmas or the bad karmas that we had in our previous life. But it is taking us towards, the ultimate goal, which is back to Godhead.
Okay, that's a good one. Yes, Keshav, tell me.
So that I think it's because that we're still creating karma because we aren't perfect, and also even though even though bhakti erases our karmic reactions, we it's like we're learning in NOI that if you do some sin but then you do atonement but then you do the sin again, so you're still creating karma for yourself, so it's not actually completely over. That's why.
Okay. Any more thought from anybody else?
Yes, Prabhuji. So it's the nature of the material energy that we when we come in contact with material nature. So there is the wide variety of things happen. But from a devotee perspective, what I have learned is a devotee always see the Krishna plan in every situation. So that's my take, Prabhuji.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, so we heard some points here. Yes, thank you. All were valid points. I think one of you said about that there are some reactions that are still fructifying. Yes, Prabhupada gives the analogy that once you stop the fan, or once you pull the plug out of the fan still keeps moving for some time. So similarly, yes, the devotees have surrendered to Krishna, but the fan is still burning. There is some karma that's been there. Right? And also, sometimes Krishna uses his devotees as an example. Right? He uses them as an instrument to teach others a lesson. Right? Krishna wants to show through his devotees how we should deal with our sufferings. They show us the ideal example of how to respond when such problems comes, and how to respond in perfect Krishna consciousness. So yes, so these are some good points. Yes. So yeah, so that's a question that we get quite a time. So it's not like devotees don't go through problems, but they know that these are just reactions to my past karma, and they will slowly just go away. And sometimes what it also happens is that a devotee, even though there is a pain, but he's not suffering because of that pain. Right? As they say, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. What that means is, for example, Prabhupada, when he was dying, when he was leaving his body, he was in immense pain, but he was not suffering because of that pain. He was translating the Bhagavatam. He was giving the purports to Bhagavatam till the last moment he left. So Krishna, so that's also sometimes Krishna does that. Okay, so this is a good verse. From Turning to Ashes, let's go to 38. In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. Right? So now this is another aspect that Krishna is saying, that he'll enjoy that. So it'll become an enjoyment. It's a reward of that knowledge, right? So what Krishna is saying, that there's nothing more purifying, satisfying, or valuable than spiritual realization. And when we all practice bhakti sincerely, this realization will awaken naturally at the right time. So it's about internal fulfillment. This verse is about internal fulfillment. It's not about external achievements or anything. So when Krishna is saying nothing is as pure, or nothing is so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge, so what Krishna means is that material things, they distract us, they give very short-term happiness, and then they leave a desire, they leave something back. Either it's fear or there is some desire left. Right? But spiritual knowledge, it cleans our heart, removes the confusion, and brings clarity. So there is no something so sublime as this knowledge. And then Krishna is saying it's the mature fruit of all mysticism. Right? So Krishna does not say that enjoyment comes from outside. Someone else has to validate you to be happy, or you have to be successful in something before you become happy. No. Krishna is saying peace and satisfaction arise from within. Right? And there are some signs of this inner enjoyment. There is calmness. You remain calm even in difficulty. You have reduced anxiety about outcomes. You have gratitude. That's something we all develop. And then we develop a taste for chanting and hearing. And that is real happiness, which is not dependent on any circumstances. I can be happy irrespective of whatever circumstances I am in. Then Krishna is saying, one phrase that is in due course of time. Okay? In due course of time, that's a very encouraging thing. So Krishna is gentle and he's also realistic. He's acknowledging progress may be slow, purification may be gradual, but your sincerity matters the most. Don't think about speed, think about sincerity. And how does this verse protect us? It protects devotees from impatience, from comparing themselves to others, from being discouraged. Krishna is saying, if you sincerely are practicing, it will come. It is surely going to. It's a very encouraging phrase that Krishna is saying, in due course of time. Okay? So we have been going through, right? 434, we saw that 435 was 436 was the boat analogy, 437 was the ashes, and then here what we are being told about the inner joy that we get, the fruit of it. So, yeah.
Roji, this is actually what you just explained in the previous verse, right? Where you said that whoever is suffering, like advanced devotees, they actually don't suffer. Apparently it might look like they're suffering, but they kind of don't feel it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's the way it is to be understood.
Right, Roji? And in this case, Krishna himself is saying that, that once you are in that state, then you are enjoying. So the word enjoyment, right, kind of means that you are over it, right?
Yeah, that's what it means. And Krishna is being very realistic. He's not saying that the moment you become a devotee, you take a guru, everything will be perfect for you. No, there will be a period where we'll have to use our intelligence to do all these things. We'll have to kind of push ourselves. But a time will come when we'll cross over that hump, or like once we are over it, then everything will happen automatically because we'll have that inner joy. We will be seeing the result of our bhakti, and we will just do it so happily. We won't need anybody to push us, wake up in the morning, force us to chant or force us to read. It'll be all by ourselves. It'll be happy and pure. Yeah, that's a good thing, Prabhu.
So
And sorry, go ahead.
also, Prabhuji, and I don't know whether what I've heard is right or wrong, but if you've accumulated like reactions from your past lives, and which causes you to be born again and again, people in bhakti, the devotees, it's all accumulated, and then you go through in this lifetime, this particular one shot, and then never have to be born again.
So, you're saying that all our karma will be nullified if we take a bhakti in this one life? It will be a one shot thing. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So, like, let's say, you've accumulated like a lot of sins from your past lives, which may require you to be born not once but multiple times. But since you are in bhakti, all your reactions are sort of, you still have to go through it, but it is what do you call, downgraded, for lack of better terms, and you just pay off your debt of your karma in this lifetime, and then never have to be born again. So that's why you see all these advanced devotees, lot of have so many, going through a lot of health problems and diseases and things like that.
Yes, you're right. And Krishna reciprocates with them.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Prabhupada was like that. Prabhupada, once Prabhupada was frying kachoris in Calcutta, and the Second World War was going on. Calcutta was being bombed. So somebody told Prabhupada, his name was Abhīṣṭa-dohaṁ at that time. Oh, why don't you take shelter in a bunker? And Prabhupada was like, yeah, I'll take shelter in a bunker once I've finished cooking these kachoris. Obviously, we should not become careless, but one becomes so happy in what he or she is doing in bhakti that all these external things don't worry much to that person. No anxiety, no hankering, no fear of death. All that goes away. So Prabhupada was thinking, hey, I'm making kachoris for Krishna. If I die, then I'll cook kachoris in Golok Vrindavan. So that's a perfection. So you feel cared for like a baby when you come to that level of bhakti, right? You're doing service, you're busy in that, and by the time you reach the prasadam hall, all the food is over, and you are thinking, I'm very hungry. If I could get some prasadam, and suddenly somebody comes with a plate. Hey, Prabhuji, please take this. I saved this for you. That's the kind of love and care Krishna comes up with. When we start disentangling ourselves from this material body and so forth, then Krishna starts taking care of us. He jumps in. Till we think that I'm taking care of it, I have to take care of it. Krishna also stands on the side. Okay, fine. You don't want me to come into your life. I'm okay. But it's a gradual process, as Krishna said. Okay, let's move on. There are 3 more verses. I want to wrap up this chapter today. 39. A faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge. And having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. That's a good one. Supreme spiritual peace. What is this? This is 39. Yeah. Samitendriya. So he gets supreme spiritual. So the 3 words that are used: Shraddha, Tatpara, Samitendriya. Shraddhavan, a faithful man. So somebody who has faith in the process that Krishna is giving us, Guru is giving us. Tatpara, very much attached to it. That person is very much attached to it. And how is he attached to it? By controlling his senses also. Initially, we all need to control our senses. These 3 qualities are required. Right? So Shraddha means faith in Krishna. That Krishna is supreme. And we have faith that our Guru is a representative of Krishna. And that bhakti will take care of everything. Right? Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kahe, Shrudrida Nishchay, Sarv Bhakti Kare, Sarv Karma Krit Hoy. That everything is taken care of when I do bhakti. That's something that Krishna tells us. And the important thing here is we have been told Samitendriya. we control our senses, right? So initially, if we don't control our senses, it drains away our transcendental knowledge, right? It's as if you're opening a hole, leaving the tap on. On one end, you're trying to take in transcendental knowledge. On the other hand, you are also doing sense gratification. So in one sense, that transcendental knowledge is being just drip by drip, you're losing it. That is why the first verse of Nectar of Instruction is, who can tell me the first verse of Nectar of Instruction? We've read that book already. You don't have to tell me the verse, tell me what it is about.
It's about who can be a spiritual master, who can
Yes.
control his tongue, vacho vegam, manasa vegam.
Yeah, that's a good. Vacho vegam, manasa krodh vegam, jivva vegam, udarupastha vegam, etan vegan yuvisahata dhira, sarvam apiman prithvim cha shishya. Yeah. So that's what, when we control these senses, it prevents the drain of our transcendental knowledge. Yes, Satyal Viri.
Sorry, Prabhuji. Tolerating urges and I guess minding what you're saying, also controlling what we eat. Basically, prasadam is what we should always take. And some of those things.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So yes, this transcendental knowledge, it increases our faith, right? So initially, when to start in bhakti, obviously we need some faith. That is coming from our piety, from our past births, from this birth. It's all collecting up, and time comes when we have enough faith that we get devotees come into our life, right? So then we start getting the knowledge. Then the doubts will be clarified, our faith will increase. When our faith increases, it will lead us to inquire more deeply. We are no more academic scholars, okay, or just objectifying everything. No. The whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam is transformation. Right? So that is why it's samatendriya. That's how controlling the senses help us. And taking in knowledge at the same time. So, and when you will read these books, scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, many things we will not be able to understand. Right? Some of those things will be true at the first hearing. Okay, I hear it, it makes sense. But then some of them will require some contemplation, some discussion. Right? You're not a soul, you're a body, and all that. But then some things we realize after years of practice and purification. So we should not hang on to every doubt that comes into our mind when we are reading these shastras or going through this process. Some doubts we should just put them in a box and set them aside. Eventually, when we are purified enough, that doubt will automatically clear. Some doubts we should clarify immediately. So there are different levels of that knowledge also. So some yes, I was saying some will take years for you to practice and purify. Right? And some we may never understand. For some of them, when we reach Golok, when we reach to Krishna, then they will clarify. So don't let your faith get choked up because of these tiny doubts that come here and there. Don't let your faith be hurt by that. That's what the faithful man means here. The word faithful is very important. Okay. This is 40, 41, 40. What's this? 40. Ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. Right? So, okay, so that this is now three things are being told here. Agyas, there's a fool who has no knowledge in standard scriptures. Ashraddhana, without faith in revealed scriptures. So Agyan is who has no knowledge. Ashraddhana, he has a knowledge, but he does not have faith. And Samshayatmana. Samshayatmana is doubtful. Right? He has faith, but still he is in doubt. I think I had a slide for it. Let me just pull that up. Give me a second. Was that slide? I had a slide. Is this the one? Oh, where is it? This one? I don't know. Is this? Let me put it on full screen and show if you can see it. So these are the three classes of person. I just put it more in a way so that it's easy to understand for us. The first person is Agya. He's a fool. He has neither knowledge of the scriptures, he does not have faith in it, and he is also doubtful. He does not believe. Ashradhadana. He has knowledge but no faith and doubts the process. Samshayatmana. He has knowledge, faith, but still there are some doubts here and there. All these three kinds of people, they make no progress at all. There is no happiness whatsoever for them. Right? So who doesn't get knowledge is the thought process that Krishna is revealing here. Okay. It is hopefully this is much clearer now because of the three kind of people that Krishna is talking about here. Okay. Let's come to 41. So 41 and 42 are a call for action for Arjuna. One who acts in devotional service, renouncing the fruits of his action, and whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self. Thus, he is not bound by reaction of work, O conqueror of riches. Right. So this is 41. Right. So Krishna is now telling how to work in that faith. So this is kind of act. So he's asking Arjun, act in devotional service, renounce your fruits of action, destroy your doubts by this knowledge, and then be situated factually in the self. Right. So then, thus you will never be bound. And so that's what Krishna is saying. Right. So the phrases here are yoga sannyasta karmanam. Yoga by devotional service, sannyasta one who has renounced, karmanam the fruits of action. Right. Having attained to devotional service, that person has renounced the fruit of action. Jnana sanchinna samshayam. So jnana, with that knowledge, he has cut doubts to pieces. No more samshayatmana from that last word. Okay? There's no doubts anymore. Then he becomes Atmavan. Atmavan means situated in the self. Right? So he doesn't need any stimulus from outside. That's what situating in the self means. All that stimulus to work in bhakti comes from within. So, and then lastly, Krishna is calling Arjun Dhananjaya. So this also is a very important point. As I mentioned earlier, whenever a name comes for either Krishna or for Arjun, it has a very specific reason. So here Krishna is saying that Arjun, you are a winner of the riches. Let me see how do you conquer this wealth of self-realization. Yes, materially you are Dhananjaya. I want to see you become spiritually Dhananjaya. So that's why Krishna is using that word Dhananjaya here towards Arjun. Okay, and the last verse of this chapter. Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight. Atishta Thishta Bharata. Again, ending with that. Arjun had sat down on the chariot saying that he's not going to fight. Krishna is saying, rise and fight. But how? As we just read in the last verse, act in devotional service, renounce the fruits of action, and you should be standing strong in that knowledge. With that thought process, you should go and fight Arjun. Right? So, in today's times, sorry, I'm just I lost my thought, what I was saying. Okay, when it comes back, I'll come to you. But yes, so eventually Krishna has brought all that, what we were discussing throughout the chapter, he has brought it down to this one thing, that Arjun, with this knowledge, what are you going to do with this? You're going to fight. Go ahead and fight. And Prabhupada summarized this. Prabhupada very brilliantly summarizes the whole chapter in the last purport. As when you read those purports, you know that. So Prabhupada is saying, your Krishna consciousness can be awakened by different types of sacrifices. We saw that, verse 29, right? By practicing Varnashrama Dharma. And they all are based on regulated action, regulating your senses. But within all these activities, the important factor is self-realization. One who seeks that objective is a real student of Bhagavad Gita. But one who doubts the authority of Krishna falls back. So this is the essence of this chapter which Prabhupada is giving us. So, and then Prabhupada, I think he ends by saying, one is therefore advised to study Bhagavad Gita or any other scripture under a bona fide spiritual master with service and surrender. So, and what does a bona fide spiritual master mean? He is in disciplic succession from time eternal, and he does not deviate at all from the instructions of the Supreme Lord. Right? So this is the essence. Yes, Binu.
So I'm as I was reading this verse, I had written a question down. Does sacrifice to demigod and Brahman awakens Krishna consciousness? Then if that's the case, then are impersonalist Krishna conscious?
So what was that verse? So we read a verse in, I think it was in the 4th chapter, where Krishna said that all the paths come to me. Right? However, what Krishna means by that, if you know the end goal is Krishna, demigod worship can also take you there. However, unfortunately, nowadays demigod worshippers, they are only going out to demigods for material satisfactions. Right? Janam Dehi, Dhanam Dehi, whatever they are looking for. Then it becomes a problem. Then the demigod worship will not take you to Krishna. However, we see in Shastras, the gopis who are pure devotees of Krishna, they used to worship Katyayani Devi, who is Durga. Right? They used to worship Katyayani Devi and say, okay, please help us get Krishna as our husband. Then it's okay. They understand who that demigod is, how their connection to Krishna is. Then yes, the worship of demigod will take them back home, back to God. Did that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
And same for impersonalists. As I was saying, impersonalists, the good ones are the Brahmavadis who just don't know about Krishna. But the moment they know it, they immediately turn towards bhakti because they're intelligent enough. So those people also can take. But if even after knowing, you refuse to accept Krishna as Bhagavan, then yes, then the impersonalism will not take you to Krishna. So yes, all these sacrifices are dependent. And I think Prabhupada is saying this in the purport, right? One who seeks that objective is the real student of Bhagavad Gita, but one who doubts the authority of Krishna falls back. So the essence of all these sacrifices is that we have full faith that Krishna is the supreme authority. Then all these all these sacrifices will take us back home.
So what is sacrifice to Brahman? What does it mean?
Oh, this is, now you're asking me. We read it last class, right? Sacrifice to Brahman. So Brahman is the impersonal, like the Brahman philosophy is that looking at this world in the sense that.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I remember. I'll go back to that verse. Yeah.
And in a general sense, that person doesn't fall trap to immediate pleasures because he's seeing that this world is being run there is something beyond this world, or there is an intelligence that's driving this world. He has no concept of Bhagavan in like a two-armed form, Krishna, or a Bhagavan sitting in our hearts. But he's just this understanding that this world has something beyond this. So he doesn't sacrifice that bigger understanding for petty, smaller material gains. So that's the sacrifice of the Brahman, to Brahman. Okay. So here we finish, this ends the Bhaktivedanta portion, the 4th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of transcendental knowledge. Okay, we wrap it up here. Any thoughts or comments from anyone? I see Binus here. Yes, Pratyush Prabhu.
So while reading the earlier verses, 35, 34, 35, so I had that question like, how to identify the Guru? Is that we have learned in the chapter 2 about the Sthit Pragya person, how it looked like and all the symptoms. So that answers it. But is there any more, verses where Krishna will speak on that?
On the concept of Guru?
Yeah, how to identify. Like someone can say, yeah, Krishna is saying that one who takes surrender to the, or who submissively surrender and render service will eventually understand the knowledge of self-realized or surrender to the self-realized soul, and then he will come to know the knowledge. So somebody can ask, like, how to identify that. So we have learned that in the second chapter, right? That's what
The
it answers.
Atma Rama, yes, 254 to 272. There was a discussion of Atma Rama person. So yes, that explains about also who's that self-realized soul. And then Krishna will talk about a self-realized soul again and again. He will give us that hint. For example, in the last verse of 5th chapter, Krishna will tell us how does a person become peaceful. But he gives that Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarva Lokam Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. So when somebody understands, a self-realized soul understands that Krishna is the supreme source, he's Bhoktaram, he's my ultimate well-wisher. So that person becomes very peaceful internally. Right. So that's one place. Then in the 5th chapter, Krishna will talk about a self-realized soul, right? Pandita Samadarshina, that person looks at everybody equally. Right? Sunichaiva Supakecha Pandita, like he'll talk about a dog, a cow, everybody. So that person is a self-realized soul. So yeah, Krishna will talk about it again and again in Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you so much. And then again in 435, the question came like, if Krishna is saying that that person will never, fell down, but we see fall down, and then, but in the Prabhupada always conclude, right? And then I see wonderful connection Prabhupada made in verse number 42 about all the question a devotee can have, and all of them was answered. Like a person who is not sincere or do not have trust, that person will fall down.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. Fall down. So see, the thing to understand is we all are living entities and we all have a free will. That never goes away. And that free will, the moment we disengage it from, let's say, some Prabhupada disciples fell down because they disengaged themselves from Prabhupada's teachings. Right? Immediately they fell down. If you keep in touch with Krishna, then you will never fall down. If you keep in following the instructions of your guru, you're never going to fall down. So that free will always remain. Even Krishna cannot help us if we have free will, if we don't want him to help us. That's the extent of that, the power of that free will. So
yes, Prabhuji, I see there is a problem. Like for myself, I see I will be able to overcome this by myself. So how to overcome that tendency? That's the biggest.
I know that we all go through that. Yeah, that thinking that I'm the doer, I will figure it out, I will overcome this. But eventually what happens is that if you are sincere in your practice, Krishna will give you these realizations where he will keep on telling you, he'll continue to make you realize your insufficiency and at the same time your need to depend on Krishna and Guru. Krishna will keep on giving you as long as we are sincere. So sincerity is the only currency that works in bhakti. And with that sincerity, we attract a guru. The guru comes and gives his mercy. With that same sincerity, Krishna comes and gives us that mercy. With that same sincerity, even if we sometimes make mistakes, Krishna forgives us. But the moment we try to bring in our own intelligence, no, Krishna, I can figure it out myself, then it becomes a problem. But Krishna will give you realizations as if you continue to keep being sincere in your service, in your service to Guru, in your service to Krishna, Prabhupada. You'll never lose, you'll never fall away. That's something I'm not perfect from any sense, but I have seen that those tiny realizations coming to me, which tell me that all I need to do is just serve my Guru and everything will be perfect for me.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We are at 8:30. So I see Sandeep Prabhu, you have your hand up.
Prabhuji, quick question. You brought up this point that maybe everyone should remember some shlokas, right? Any specific shlokas we should cram up, or the whole Gita would be very hard to kind of
It's not hard. Don't tell yourself that it's hard. I know devotees who have memorized the entire Bhagavad Gita, all 700 verses. There are kids who do that. There is which one is that? A Chinmaya mission, I think. In our own temple, I know kids who have memorized the whole Bhagavad Gita. So it's not hard. Anirudh has memorized the whole Bhagavad Gita. So yeah, you don't have to memorize all of them. And one way to know which to memorize is which verses connect with you. That's a very important way to understand. Not every verse will speak to you. We are not that self-realized yet. But some verses just might stand out for you. Oh my God, this is an amazing verse. I need to just capture this in my mind. So go ahead and memorize that. Yeah? That's the way I do it. So I don't wait for a list or somebody to tell me. But whatever it stands out for me, I memorize it. And even if you cannot memorize the exact verse, if you know how to locate it, like for example, today I pointed out 11, 20, 27, 28. I know that verse also, but even if I don't remember the verse, I know the location and I can always go back and read it. That's also a good thing to do. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you next week. We'll start the 5th chapter. Don't forget to read the purports. The 10 purports for the next class, always read them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.